Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Call Sign Wolf. As always, my name is Justin, and welcome to the Stanley Parable. So this is not an easy to explain game. This is definitely not a brand new game. I believe it does run off the Source engine, but you know what? Let's just get right into it just to explain what this game is.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happen. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
So the basic premise here of Stanley Parable is to,
All co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yeah, so the whole premise here of the Stanley Parable is you think you're following the narrator's orders. Sensitivity is quite low, might I add.
Stanley came to a set of two open doors. He entered the door on his left.
You're going to follow the door on the left. Pretty self-explanatory. Very blinding white light.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
There's some pretty interesting little tidbits all throughout the room.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Executive bathroom.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikelihood that this would ever result in a correct combination. If he knew that the combo was 2845, it would be another story entirely. But no, this is what he was going to do instead. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
And here we go. Yeah, so the basic premise here of the game is that you're following the narrator's directions.
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
So you follow the narrator's instructions, and you kind of find out the mystery behind.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Just find out what happens.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Massive building.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Okay, so 427.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
So there's no sprint button, there's no jump button, but yeah, this game is it's quite interesting. And I haven't really been able to say a whole lot, only because, I don't want to interrupt the story. I want you to be able to experience what you're supposed to experience firsthand. But this is quite the interesting game.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, He realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
That's the way you're supposed to play the game, is you follow the narrator's instructions, and it brings you back, I believe, to the main menu. Oh no, it brings you right back into the loop. So you kind of go about doing everything, and there's so many different endings, so many little hidden gems, secrets.
His co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
There's just so many little secrets and whatnot in the game. I'm trying to remember a few of them. There was something to do with one of these doors. I can get back there. I hate Mondays. Me too. I think at one point you basically make the narrator go crazy. There we go. So we're gonna go to the door to the right.
Direct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Absolutely. We go to the employee lounge. It's pretty nice.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
It's something I never noticed before, is a key card access. So there's little secret right here that I'm gonna have to come back to after this little run and show you guys. But you get onto this.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
What's interesting here is that it is plugged into the wall. You can answer it.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands.
Did you do this to me?
It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
For dinner?
As he wandered through
Jesus.
this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Not going to do it. Guess the game really, really wants me to do it, so...
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. and I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
So there's like I said, there's this.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Yeah, there's quite a few little deviations.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
We're gonna do the door on the right
This
again.
was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ooh, yes, admire, yes, okay.
This room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
So I was saying before, there is actually 2 different little unique variations of this. So the first one, we went up to that little opening up there. The second one here is this.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the road. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
And let me get back to that point again.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
We're still going to go to the door on the right.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No. I wanted to show the lovely
Stanley
people.
was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Fine.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The 2 of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
It is very, very pretty, but
No, wait. Where are you going? Right. Where were we?
going back this way. You know. Yeah, we gotta.
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Then we go back.
Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
It is a very, very pretty game in some regards, but
No. What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. You heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you?
but I mean, we could go back. Could just go back and, you know, enjoy the pretty lights.
You are going to stay here, aren't you?
Honestly, this, I believe, is just an endless loop of lights and noises and pretties. But going back makes him so depressed. You get to a certain point.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. No! Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room?
So what should I do? Should I go back to the other room or should I jump again? You know, I don't remember what happens if you go back to the other room, so I'm going to try that. I'm going to try going back to the other room.
There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
I kind of feel like this is like a 90s screensaver. A small way. Problem is that it's just loops. Just loops and loops and loops back and forth. I don't think he says anything else. It is very pretty. There's one more.
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this. No. No, no. What do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
I'm sorry, Mr. Narrator.
My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
I don't know if anything actually changes.
Perhaps you can. Perhaps you finally see what I'm talking about. I know you'll see that we can't be happy if we leave this place. You can see that, can't you?
I think nothing happens if you stay here, so I would like to move on to...
No, perhaps not.
the next ending.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
So there's another one. We just stay in here and...
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes. I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
Ultimately, Stanley Parable does keep you pretty preoccupied for a little while trying to find all the different endings, and that ultimately is the choice here is so much as trying to discover what exactly about the game is is hiding.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
I'm not going to go down that road. I don't want to spoil too much. But
Yet
again, this
there
was...
not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Again, yeah, I think this is a real fun game.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing...
So this has been the Stanley Parable. I give it a solid 9 out of 10. Game is not exactly overly over the top or anything like that. It is relatively simplistic of the nature. There's a lot of nice little cool Easter eggs, such as moving the mouse here on the main screen. You see it moving on Stanley's screen and then the next screen. And if you look hard enough, you can even see it move even on the tiniest screen. But there's so much. It's a very layered game with a lot of hidden Easter eggs, a lot of references, and another pop culture references as well. So I'd say, if you have not played this before, it's your first time seeing it, or if you have played it in the past and have uninstalled it, maybe consider giving it another shot. Maybe even consider revisiting it. Pick it up. It's relatively inexpensive. I believe the game itself is currently $14.99, but you can get the bundle for 10% off for $8.99, which does go through the entirety of the game. Personally, I do not do that. I go through the game itself and just kind of enjoy it for myself. But yeah, Stanley Parable, solid 9 out of 10. Amazing game, has a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of references, and it does run on the Source engine. So you should ultimately get a very high frame rate. I will say the reason why I didn't give it much higher was I didn't realize that there was this option, or the acceleration amount, sensitivity, make things a little bit smoother as far as continuously having to lift up my mouse and everything like that. But ultimately, again, great game, absolutely great game. I'd highly recommend, if you have not seen it, to at least check it out. I only did a couple of the different quote-unquote endings, but there are quite a few more plus achievements. So again, Stanley Parable, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely fantastic game. Guys, that's going to be it for me for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing and hitting the like button. Otherwise, well, you can go out in hell. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care.